Welcome to Lubavitch. Today I want to talk to you about welcome to Lubavitch. There was this guy in the Beit Chabad in Belgium, and he started coming and listening and coming to the shiurim and start exploring Judaism. And he started putting on tefillin and keeping Shabbos and keeping kosher. One of the days he's telling the shliach, the Rav of the Beit Chabad, I need to go to Italy. So the Rav asking him, what do you have there? He's answering, I have a girl that I know, and we planning to get married. The Rav, he knows this guy, so he asked him, are she Jewish? And he's telling him no. So he asked him, what about converting to Judaism? What about going through process of becoming a Jew? This guy started explaining to the Rav why something like this will not happen with this girl. So he started trying to talk to him out of this plan to get married with this girl. He did talk and try, but nothing worked. So he told them, come with me to the rabbi. Now, as we know, the Lubavitch rabbi used to give out dollars every Sunday. And thousands of people used to stand in a line in order to get one of the dollars, the rabbi, to get a dollar from the rabbi's hand. They stood there, and when they approached the rabbi held $1 in his hand and smile and look to this guy. And this guy started telling the rabbi what happened with this girl, what they planning to do, and etc. So the rabbi smiled and tell him, I jealous of you, I envy you. So he didn't know what to do. What the rabbi means, I jealous of you. What do I have to do? So the rabbi keep on and explain to him, God, the creator of the world, gives every Jew a certain letter, certain experience that he knows he can and is able to go through. As large as the faith of God in you, you're getting the biggest letter, the biggest step to go through. You got such a big letter, such a big step to go through, such a big challenge that I never got. In the end of the challenge, you have the higher rank, the higher step that you took and become holiest. And I didn't get this challenge. I didn't get this step. I didn't get this letter. You did. That's why I envy you. And the rabbi gave him the dollar, and he kept on moving forward. A few minutes later, he said to the Rav, that's it. Me and her, we through. We done. And she trying to reach him, but the end of the story, he came to Eretz Yisrael, got married, and have a beautiful Jewish family here in Israel. So, in this parsha, in the fifth aliyah, we see that Aaron and Moshe come to Pharaoh and ask them to let my people go, is we know the sentence. And obviously, Pharaoh is refusing, doesn't know any God thing, and he's saying no. So as we know that God already told Moshe, back in the one parsha before or two, that you should take your staff. They used to go with a long staff, and throw it on the ground, and will become the snake, tanin, as we say. So he did. Aaron threw his staff in front of Pharaoh, and this staff become a snake, magnificent snake. Pharaoh sees this, call his witchers, call his chachomim, call his smart people, and they too take the staffs throw it on the ground, and they become snakes also. Then what happens, and this is the point of the what we want to talk about. The stuff which Aaron just threw on the ground, which become the snake, just swallow the rest of the snakes, the rest of the staffs of the witches of Pharaoh. Now, we know that God told Moshe to throw the staff. He didn't tell them that his staff should swallow the rest of the snakes, the rest of the staffs. So we have something unclear here. I want to first put up that the ideology of the Egypt people, how they live, the concept of the country used to go like God was, yes, He did create the world, He did create the creation, but that's it, it's done. It doesn't have anything to walk on. The world is in the hands of the nature, the power of the nature. Much like Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya that a Baal Melacha, which is an artist, creates something beautiful, creates something nice, and as long as he's creating the creation, it's in his hands. It doesn't. It's up to him. When he finished creating creation, finished creating this magnificent thing, it becomes an object. It goes to the market, it goes to the stores, and this thing, this creation, this magnificent art doesn't need the creator anymore. So that was the ideology of the Egypt people on God and the creation. As we know, the 10 hits that that's so famous, God gave the Egypt people not to, as we know, Aaron represents the holiness, represent everything is right, that is right, and everything that God sent him to. And when he comes to Pharaoh and ask him, let my people go, he's basically telling him to recognize something that is higher than him. And obviously Pharaoh refused this, and he's telling no. Then Aaron taking his staff and throw it on the ground, and it becomes the snake. As we know, the snake was symbolizing Egypt, because as we know, is written in the Torah, the great Tanim, which is sitting inside of Yoiro, which is the main component that hold the economy back in Egypt. They needed this small ocean to come and putting water inside the ground. So the snake, which represent this, Aaron throw in the ground and basically saying to the Pharaoh, look, this snake, which is you, is not on his own. Is actually coming from holiness. It's coming from God. Pharaoh obviously refused this idea also, and he called his witches to do the same. And they throwing their own staffs. By this, Pharaoh tell Pharaoh, saying to Aaron and Moshe, no, we have our own energy, we have our own spirit, our own living. We do not exist for holiness. At this point, something has to be done. So the great staff, the great snake of Aaron, came and swallowed the rest of the snakes. By this, Aaron telling Pharaoh, it's not just you don't have anything, and every spirit you think you have, and every living that you think you have is basically an illusion. It's all coming from holiness. What does this thing have to do with us, and what this thing have to do with the story? So, as we know about Aaron, he used to be Ohev Esabrus Kovel Roid of Shalom, which is seeking and chasing after peace, and he used to mekarev, he used to hold tight and getting closer, getting the Brias closer to him and closer to the Torah. he used to do this he used to do it in the when his motto, his concept is Avas Yisrael, in the nice, in the loving, in the peace way of doing this. Avas Yisrael, which is love your fellow Jew, and not just loving your fellow Jew. Even when you're talking about education, when you're trying to educate in the house, trying to educate out there, which you're trying to educate your kids, even educating yourself. The rabbi is taking from this sicha. You should do it like this stuff, cold-minded, cold-hearted, and do it professionally, and as it should be, without involving any personal interest. If you like this video, subscribe, share, like. I know I have to work on my English, so would you help me? Do you have a great good Shabbos, and until the next video, Lubavitch.